Yes, it's a spirited crowd this week. It's a spirited crowd. I think to environment and human-to-human prosperity. So this project, which we're about to speak about tonight, this 3 Crowns property project, that's exactly what it's doing. So tonight is, in many ways, I find it very inspiring because I love the connection and I love bringing things together that are in harmony together. It's also one where maybe those of you looking at home are, interested in how do I build in Bali? How do I build in harmony with Bali? What are some of the, not the traps, but some of the challenges that I may face? And perhaps tonight we can shed some light on what some of those solutions might be as well. So tonight's episode is called Building with Harmony, Crafting Culture, Community and Conscious Luxury in Bali. And as I mentioned before, tonight is about discovering how 3 Crowns property leads the way in crafting places of beauty, story and spirit in collaboration with local artisans and designers, and obviously how you can too. So we have 2 wonderful people here tonight. So the first one, Joanne Motee, Creative Director, 3 Crowns Property, international award-winning Australian designer thank you, welcome, with 27 years experience blending cultural heritage with bold contemporary design, and her work transforms places or spaces into soulful expressions of identity, place and purpose. Yes, that's what I thought. All right, round of applause. I was going to wait. Welcome. But may as well while we're here. And now Farhan, brother, next one. So local architect, Lowy Studio, 3 Crowns property. Now with Farhan, a Bandung-born architect, deeply attuned to Bali's cultural rhythms, Farhan brings a human-centric approach to architecture, and the wind has helped me here, one that listens to the land, the people, the tradition in shaping design with feeling, function, and cultural depth. Round of applause for Farhan, please. Woo. Now, some of the takeaways tonight, so we're talking to connection, and some of the core values we're going to share tonight is about cultural authenticity, building that celebrates, not erases, Balinese traditions. Yeah. Living sustainability, projects that preserve nature and minimize waste. And we're talking an artful expression, beauty as ritual, part of how we can live and connect. Local empowerment, collaboration with Balinese artisans, communities and stories, and smart investment with soul. So real estate that returns on meaning, not just money. So tonight again, exploring how 3 Crowns property is setting a new standard for conscious living in Bali. And for those of you who don't know, my name is Robert Ian Bonnick. I'm still reading it. I'm still reading it off the sheet in case I forget who I am. All right, that one helps. Let's see what I wrote about myself. Co-founder of PT Career Life Group, gateway to Indonesia, and of course Australia. Yes, RIB and Associates, a growth strategist and integration strategist here in Bali. SpeakuP Monday, well, you're watching that one now, and tourism architect, which is all about how do we co-build and co-create legacy here in Bali. So the last time I asked for a round of applause, but thank you. A round of applause for that introduction.
Woo! That was beautiful.
Santa Margarita Santa. And by the way, Joanne just handed me her book, which we're going to get into a little bit later on, and it's a coffee table book. We have water on the table tonight, though I did order a coffee a while ago. But anyway, coffee table book here as well. So look, to get us started, and we'll start ladies first. So Joanne, a creative director, right? So maybe some people here might be wondering, so what is it that a creative director does? And, what kind of got you started? Because you're award-winning, not just in Australia but international, right? So obviously there's something behind that. But yeah, so maybe the first two questions in one focus on what is being a creative director? What does that mean for you? And then secondly, like, how did you get started in that? Was it something that was inherent from the very beginning? You kind of knew, this is what I want to do, right? Or was it something that kind of kept nudging you along the way? Maybe people saying, hey, Joanne, you're pretty good at drawing. You might want to think about a career that might involve that. Or Joanne, you're pretty good at creative design. You might want to look at that. Not meaning to lead you too much. But yeah, now I hand the mic over to you. Thank you.
Well, creative director for me, it's about being a control freak. It's about being able to say, I'm creative director and I say what goes. So it's also about being able, can you hear me?
Yeah, there you go.
Also really about bringing the creativity to the story, to the property, to what we're doing here. So yes, it did start many, many years ago. I had, my mum was a seamstress and dad was an upholsterer, and we would wake up on a Sunday morning and we would have orange curtains and orange upholstered sofa, and it was embedded in us from day dot. So a lot of the family are creative, and I kind of just started and loved it. I went to school and started teaching university. So at that point I was thinking, this is good, and I enjoyed doing it. I enjoyed doing it very much. I think it was about maybe 5 years ago I had that moment where it felt like it was very luxurious and very over the top, and yes, winning world awards and designing, retail spaces and commercial and residential, and it felt like, what is this about? And then I was speaking to somebody and they said, well, this is the psychology behind it. You're creating an atmosphere for somebody. You are bettering their world. Look at all the jobs you're creating. Look at the space you're creating. And from then on, it became giving back. It became about paying it forward. It became about following a dream that Kim Lafurla had 20 years ago, where she wanted to build in Bali, and Bali didn't call her then. 20 years later, Bali called her, and I wanted to be a part of it.
Lovely.
Yeah.
What a beautiful story. And so, Brother Guzman, just when she speaks, maybe just a little bit higher on the speakers in terms of volume. Yeah. One of the things that kind of dropped in there about creative spaces, right? Because again, like, you with. So look, let's move on to our brother Farhan, and we'll come back to you. So Farhan, Bandung born. Now, so my wife, her parents, one of them, mum, is Bandung. So here's the thing, it's got nothing to do with what we're about to talk about, but I feel compelled to share it. So Bandung, is an area where food is important to all of us, but Bandung, what I found through Marina, is like when it comes to food, is something extremely important. Now, what I'm about to say,
Is that then?
Yeah.
right?
That's why I'm so fit with Kim here.
All right. So there's a story there we'll go into
He
afterwards.
loves our meetings.
He loves the food, I know. So here it is, right? Now, if after this I get divorced, you know what happened? It went wrong, right? So I think that my wife has calculated how many meals she will have in a lifetime,
Wow.
right? Now, here's the thing. So if she has a bad meal, like if it's just not tasting good, or me, the kids, we leave the house, or we find ways to escape because she's angry, right? It's like she's like, I can't believe I wasted this one chance to have something amazing and it tastes terrible. Like, so it's really bad. So when it comes to like food and design, so Bandung has also incredible architecture, right? Beautiful architecture. So maybe the question for you then is, which part of maybe growing up in Bandung was surrounded by this beautiful architecture and incredible food, to which part did that influence in what you were to become, which is an architect? Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So what's interesting is that if we are talking about Bandung, culinary and the design part is somehow related because culinary there and the designs are very competitive. The trend is like a month and then changed again in the same place, yeah. And then most of the city in Bandung, in the center city, is like full built and always changing places, always changing store and always changing food. There's always something new there. Even like if I'm away for like 3 months, there's always something new there. It's hard to catch up there, and maybe it kind of affecting me also to be not that competitive. There's a side of me that's competitive, and there's a side of me that's got too much.
All I heard was competitive. I don't know. All I heard was a guy trying to deny his competitive side. Come on, Farhan, embrace it, brother.
There's some part of me that denies it. Like I don't want to be in this competitive, world. So that's one of the reasons actually that I went here to Bali to experience because there in Bandung I live with my families, and then in one house. I know you're foreigners not familiar with this stuff, but yeah, we live in our parents' house. Everything's got taken care of, and then I decided to have some experience living by my own and with new life perspectives. And then thankfully when I got here, maybe I got not much difference on what you get, because Bali is like a place on its own. It's you can say it's not it's different, but it's the same with Indonesia at the same time. Even me outside Bali, I can see the difference. I can see the difference of the culture, of the designs, of the way of thinking. Yes, and that's also what inspires me to maybe it's still competitive here, but it's challenging. It's different. It's a different challenge with back in Bandung, but it's challenging for me to do something new here. And yeah, that's what brought me meet you guys.
One of the things which you picked up with on your bio was this, that you do have a love and a passion for Bali, right? So I'd like to go into that a little bit more. So, if I would ask you, Farhan, if there were, I tried the 3 things before over here with Joanne. Well, that didn't work, did it? She gave me all of it. So maybe I'll try again and see if we can get 3 things. Let's see. So if there are 3 things, of what it is you love about Bali, or what inspires you about Bali in your role as architect, what would you say?
As an architect, the first one that also align with the project that you see behind us is that the culture in Bali, they like to celebrate. They have many celebrations. They also like to be polite and humble. Like they have, for example, if you want to build something on a land, you need to have a ritual to ask permission, and that's one of being humble that I like and it inspires me also. And the celebrate thing is like they have many celebration here, up to the point that I was always complaining with my life, and see this Balinese culture of celebrate. It's a good thing to celebrate, no? Yeah. Even little things, right? That's also what inspires me to try to live my life here. And for for an architect, the story was when I was trying to get out of my hometown of Bandung, I was trying to get to Singapore or Japan or something out of country, but I don't feel confident enough because I'm just this little skinny guy with no knowledge, with no experience, and try to go abroad and with survival mode. I don't even know how to survive with my own. And then I figured maybe how about a trial first and go to Bali and find a foreign company to work with and start studying things. I love to study, right?
That's his word. If he's not sure about something, he'll say, I'm just going to have to study that.
And so that's what's got me here. And then what clings me, and I met some new friends, some new college, and I bring my family here also. So
You know, one of the beautiful things that you said, both of you, by the way, thank you very much, is, you know, that, and I guess it faces a lot of us, right? Now, I just met your family tonight, and your son is a mountain of a man. His guy's huge. But again, it's that thing, right, of, you know, like that first step, right? And maybe it's out of country, or maybe it's within your country but out of your town. Maybe it's out of your home, you know. And it's interesting because, again, this is 485 episodes, and it's Indonesians, foreigners, it's kind of everyone, right? We don't discriminate. Every kind of race, I think, has been on the show. But again, it's very interesting to kind of hear you speak, because, you know, more and more as we kind of go through this, there was a lady, her name is Rikal Ardani, and I think she was 23 or 24 at the time, and it was when we had the show just inside here. We've moved 7-8 times while we've been here, and she said to me at one point, she said, "Rob, you know, when the rich scream, wealth whispers." Right? So when the rich scream, wealth whispers. That already, I felt some connection with it, like, wow. And then but it's what she said next. Because, Rob, Indonesia is a wealthy country. And I was like, whoa, and again, more goosebumps. So this was 2 or 3 years ago. And what I've noticed since that time, very clearly for me, is how Indonesia has realized the power that it actually has.
Yeah, absolutely.
More and more and more and more and more and more and more. I look at you know, people like the finance minister Mulyani. I remember just after COVID, and it was all the G5, you know, the 5 most powerful nations in the world, you know, all the finance ministers getting together to beat their chest. Sorry if I was inaccurate. Don't quote me. But the one of the things that really caught me was how Mulyani addressed and handled with such graciousness, yet humble, but it was very clear that she was the one in charge of that whole conversation. Yeah. It was just like, again, more little goosebumps. So again, I really appreciate your honesty, my brother. You know, just met you, but I really appreciate that, because again, it's something which I've seen change and evolve, you know, and it's and this thing about empower each other, right? Another Indonesian term I just recently learned is coming up right now. I wish I could remember the name of it. It will come back. But yeah, so thank you for being here, being honest and being direct, and showing us who you are, right? Because again, that humility, that aspect of you, again, in what we just read about how you're able to go into spaces and feel the spaces and feel the people, I think is so closely aligned, right? If you had a big ego walking in there, maybe it's difficult for you to connect, but being who you are, you're able to connect and then bring that out. Beautiful thing. Thank you, my brother. Welcome. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Yeah. So back to you, Sister Joanne. You're now a sister. You hear that? Brother, sister. That's what happens. Me too. So Joanne, so let's go a little bit deeper with you. So creative director, now you glazed over these international awards. So can you let us know a few of these, what these awards were for, and how they came about, and was it something that you were focused on, or was it you were just literally having a great time and these things happened along the way?
I was literally having a good time. I had my 2 kids, and I'd been working for a long time with them by my side, and it was just time to move from Melbourne and do different things. So we were shortlisted for Design, and if anybody in the design world knows, and for World Interior Awards, and in Melbourne the Australian Design Awards and Idea Awards and Indies. So there was a few, and I designed a cafe that I felt was very easy, and it worked really well with my client, and I felt that my client was in a space that she just wanted to create something very loose and casual but have a bit of meaning. So it started from there, and then we won the World Award for that, and then the next project was retail again, and funnily enough we won an award for one of my clients who loves Bali. Whoa. And she said, "Can you bring Bali to Melbourne?" And I said, "No." But I'll try. And so the authenticity of bringing Bali there it wasn't connected, and actually her location was really not connected. It was underneath a factory and a really cute little space that she had. But what I tried to do was bring the way the Balinese use their hands and what they did, and so there was a lot of work in that. And so the awards I started to win these awards as a collaboration. So my client, as well as the studio, is part of that collaboration. So I loved that. I loved that journey. And again, it then gets to a point where Bali calls Kim, and after winning these awards and loving that, I got to meet some really great people from Europe, from Malta, from England. And so you start to have that conversation, and I'm like, I'd love to design in Bali. I'd love to design in Malta. And slowly, I've made that happen. And designing in Bali and Malta as well, it's about the space. It's about feeling like you are here and honouring the Balinese.
Now, for those of you here, in about 10 minutes time or so, there'll be questions. So if you have questions, just think about what they might be, and then we'll get a microphone to you in about 10, 15 minutes time or so. So I'm going to go through some of these questions so we give a bit of value to people. So actually, the Three Crowns story, that's what I wanted you to talk about. Yeah. So Kim, what is the Three Crowns story?
Well, Kim is the story. So Kim loves Bali. As much as we all do. There's something about Kim spent a lot of time here on her own, and she was ready to build a property here and live in the space. And I think it was September 11 happened, and it was just all a bit messy, and the Balinese said to Kim, this is not your time. Bali's not calling you now. So she went off, had her 2 kids. 20 years later, she said, I really want to...
20 years 20? Later.
Was it 20?
Yeah, 20. Yeah, there you go. I was done. You were patient, my darling.
Yeah. Very patient. And she said, I want to build a property in Bali where, it would serve the people, and I want to create jobs, and I want to do all of that. And I was, yes, I'm your person. So that's how that became. And Diane really for us is everything. She is the connection. Yeah, Kim is the dream, Diane is the connection, and I'm the control freak, creative director. So that's how that story became, and we work really well together as sisters. We work closely, we can fight and we can argue, but there's passion behind everything. And I'll never forget when we had to do this ceremony. A lot of my designs is about the ceremonial aspect, about what my client wants. So the ceremonial aspect, if I'm creating a beauty clinic, like what is the ceremonial aspect, and how can we celebrate that? So if I'm working on a space in Bali, it's about how we can elevate that as well. And so just from the early on, when we had to do a ceremony with the Balinese, we cried and we cried and we cried and we cried. And then there was a chicken, and I remember I was covering the chicken, and I was making sure it was shaded, and I wasn't sure what the chicken was doing there. And then the knife came out, and they sacrificed a chicken. Like, this bloody project better be good, because we just sacrificed a chicken. And so I was covering in this beautiful chicken, and that was the sacrifice. And for them, that was a really special moment. And all the good luck and all this beautiful spirituality and belief just filled my soul, and I knew that was my responsibility from then, how this project would then continue. Yeah.
Thank you. Ooh, beautiful story. Wow. The chicken's going to stick in my head, as I think it might in a few people here. So look, let's go to some of these takeaways. So design as a cultural offering, architecture that honors land, tradition, and story. So how, maybe my brother Farhan, I'm looking at you for this one. Yep. So how does a design as a cultural offering, architecture that honors land, traditions, and story? So take one of them or all of them. How does this current project, how does it honor land, traditions, and story?
The land tradition. Okay, some from cultural point of view. So let me start with the beginning. Yeah. So the clients, these beautiful ladies came to us, and because they already had the concepts, which was very gorgeous and exciting for me. Well, I thought it was gonna be a headache, but it was pretty blessing to work with these fine ladies. Okay, so they already have the concepts, which has many values, as I could remember of. And then our task was to develop it into a functional building without losing its values, right? Am I get it right?
100%.
And then also, what was the traditional?
Yeah. So
The culture, yeah.
Yeah. So you can choose any one of them or all of them if you like, but land, tradition, and culture.
Well, from the architecture point of view, what we help in maintaining the sustainable thing is that we try to have many openings as we can in order to minimize the energy consumption, something like that, and also the sunlight can come in without you using the lighting, something like that, for the sustainable thing. As for the Balinese culture, I think there are many decorations that also symbolize that, like Joanne said, the ritual, the ceremony which Balinese celebrates, and the luxury thing that, yeah, like you read, celebrates, not erases, right?
But because one thing which I noticed as well, and maybe we'll swing to Joanne on this one, is that the quality of the materials that you've used here is like, you can see from this that it's a lot of thought, effort, time have gone into that precision.
I spent days and days just selecting a floor surface. I love greenstone. I want greenstone. Greenstone is actually Chumagi, our land, is on greenstone, and we know that very well now because when we were digging the water well, we were digging into that, and so it was very important that we actually, use those resources. Important that all the materials were like reusable. So a lot of it's brass inside there. So brass, as we know, can be melted down and repurposed just as well. So being able to, I guess, honor the materials that Bali offers in a way that is luxurious and feels super special, but still feeling like we're in Bali was a very big tick. And I think that the outcome is really quite special. Yeah.
Got it. And Brother Guzman, that microphone there, could you pass it to Kim here at the front? Yeah, right. Because I have a feeling that if you feel like chiming in, my dear, feel free, right? So one is that element. So the other element is, luxury is meaning, not excess, space, stillness, sustainability, and soul-defined true luxury. So I think you've dealt with part of that already, and so have you. About the space being open to sun, being very, again, brass, the use of materials, fabrics, floor, matching the area. But which other ways from what you've designed are in harmony with nature, for example?
So one of the biggest challenges was not using too much of a footprint. Yeah. So we set out to have a small footprint, and that's where the luxury is. So the luxury for the land, because we're not using too much of it, and the luxury for the potential buyers, because there is space. There is space that we've worked very hard to make sure felt very luxurious and not excessive and not overwhelming. And so utilising this small footprint is a very big tick for the surrounding areas. Yeah.
So this is probably why I felt the move. Give it a microphone. I felt it. Community as legacy. That's probably more you. So when I say community as legacy, what comes up? Community as legacy.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So let me go to that community, the Balinese people, and what Bali gave to me back when I set my foot on the land 33 years ago. that sense of opening, that sense of
A bit closer. Yeah.
that sense of opening, that sense of welcoming was what I really loved from the get-go. So using that traditional Balinese door, which is very uncommon with new buildings being built, was a brief. Materials that wherever you walked in Bali, you had energy come from. And so the space, and these two nailed the brief to a T, that from the front door you felt the energy of Bali come into our space. And that is Bali, that is the community, that is bringing in, that is saying, come on, we've got love in this space, you know. So stone everywhere, water falling, lots of green. I mean, we're sitting in this environment, we feel like we're in Bali because of the green. And these are the things and the elements that I believe we're really missing. And that's when my cue was, okay, I need to start making a change, and let's bring those elements that are really Bali and have what calls everyone to Bali. And these two nailed it completely. And it is that community. And honestly, it's been very well respected within the Balinese to see something like this be built.
You know, one of the things which I remember we discussed on the way through was, you know, again, the head of site, Balinese Tony. Right, Tony. Yeah,
Yes.
Tony. Tell us about Tony, because you know one thing that stuck with me was the way that you look after people.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what I'd love to hear.
Yeah.
A little bit more about, because I think people which are here, Carol is building here in Bali. There's a few other people here which are either built, or want to build in Bali.
Yeah.
So part of doing this is kind of giving them a little bit of insider, you know, intel on this is how we behave, this is how we treat people.
Yeah. And
This is how we involve our community around us, you know, in a way which we find is in harmony with. And before you answer, that microphone closer to your mouth.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't want to get any lippy on it.
I know, it's okay. It's okay. The mic will last.
So that is, it is a really, really big point, because people say, you know, what made you to do that? Look, you know, look, and I'm not going to lie, there is money in development, period. But it really isn't about the money. The contribution is a far greater reward by far than any monetary value coming back. So we have on our team, obviously we have Farhan, we have Joanne, we have Tony, who's the project manager, brings such beautiful Balinese energy, ceremony, all of that to our space, and it just feels beautiful, it feels harmonious. And then we have a supervisor which takes care of the build as well with Tony, and then we have all the workers. And so of course we're from, you know, a Western world, and we have very different working culture in building. And so it's been really beautiful to bring together two cultures and create our own culture. So we have what we call payday every fortnight, and we celebrate the 2 weeks that we've had. So we spend the Sunday afternoon and we will buy them chicken or food, or we take them to a restaurant. Yeah, and we take them to a restaurant and we say thank you. And it's been so well received that it was a bit standoffish, to be quite honest, at the beginning, because this is so out of their not depth, but they've never experienced this before. Yeah. And so we arrive on our bike every 2 days with a big fat basket of fruit, because we want to nourish them and make sure that they're well and not spend money on doctors and so forth. And each time we get a thank you, and it's lovely. So we come on the land not as a threat, but as family, and we've created that beautiful
Can I interject?
culture. Yeah.
I'm just going to say Tony and Kim became really close because Tony saw Kim's dream. And so for a long time they searched high and low for land, and they worked on things, and they did the numbers, and they drew things, and he became her reminder. So anytime she would veer off, he would say, "That's not what you wanted, Kim. This is what you wanted, Kim." So he's part of the dream. This is his dream as much as Kim's dream. And from the get-go, I call him the troublemaker. He says, "You helped me, my family, and I will be here for you always." And true to his word, he is there always, and hard to rip him away. So he is there to look after, who's around, to manage the project. But he's also invested in the dream and what we're doing and how we're doing it. And every time we design something and he didn't think it was Balinese, he would say, "No, we wouldn't do that here." So I'd be like, "Oh gosh." Let's
do it all over again.
And let's do that again.
Break it.
And so it wasn't about selling him, this fantastic building. It was about how are we honouring Bali, and it became his dream as well. Yeah.
And the prize, I've got to say, is in the journey. The prize is in the journey. It's the everyday that we get to experience with Tony, bring those values to that piece of land is what it's all about. It's a wonderful experience.
Last week, was it last week? It feels like it was last week, Tangerine. It was. Yeah, so I know DNI, so Dharma Ninja Imports, So we had the show, and that was about, again, how do we preserve culture in Bali through its artisans. And then Tangelina and brother Tommy, sister Tangelina and brother Tommy, we had a wonderful episode, about that, right? How we can consciously bring these things to life. And what I love about what you just said is that you create your own rituals, actually, your own ceremony, right? Once every 2 weeks, boom. Once every 2 days, boom. And then having this opportunity for Tony and the rest of the team to interact with you, our brother Farhan over here as well, and have this feedback mechanism that also keeps you on track, right? As you said, Farhan, I love it. It's like, damn it, back to the drawing board. But then this is a kind of work ethic which allows you to be in harmony, right? Because when you veer off course, it's like, well, hang on a second, we need to go back this way. I mean, there was one gentleman, Erawan, his dad was one of the last heads of protocol for Bali, and this was going back a few decades now, and we spoke about this, about a protocol for buildings and a protocol for this that was followed and enforced. But obviously part of what we're facing now in terms of challenges is that some things are not enforced at this point, but becoming more enforced. So look, okay, so that's the community aspect. Now I promise everybody here question time. So if you do have a question, feel free to raise your hand, and in about 1.5 minutes the mic will come to you. So is there anything else that's coming up for you, Jodie, wanted to...
I wanted to say, when we first approached, doing this project, I remember saying to Farhan, what are the rules? Because in Australia there's rules. You have to have a pool fence, by the way. So I said to him, what are the rules? How high, how wide, how close can we get to boundary? What are the rules? And so trying to understand what the rules of a construction is, what the rules of the land is, what the rules of cultural rules, and what our rules and Kim's rules as a client. Like, what are all these things that we need to, again, harmony, not use loosely, connect all of these things and bring them all together and make sure that we're on track. And we're still learning. So as much as it feels beautiful to go on the land and see this project being built and these amazing workers and bringing fruit and all of that, Farhan and my brain is like, making sure that every element is right, every pipe is in the right spot. And it is about the harmony of the build as well. So the harmony of the design, the harmony of the build, and bringing all of those elements together. And, I don't pretend to know everything about sustainability, and nor I'm sure Ferhan, but we definitely put all of those questions on the table to see how we can answer them and how we can better build.
Got it. So, questions. Carol, I know you have. Don't be shy, my darling. So pass mic over here. So thank you. So before Carol asks her question, just to give you a quick update. So you're watching episode 485 here at Tropical Nomad, and tonight's episode is all about building and real estate, luxury real estate. How do we build in harmony with Bali, God, environment, people? And 3 Crowns property behind you can see the latest development here, which is in Canggu, which is in process as we speak. We can go into a few more details about that afterwards. And again, as you will see, there's a multinational team working on this, right? So from the I was going to say Oscar award-winning designer. I don't know where that came from.
I'll take it.
I know where that came from. But you know what? Let's take it. International award-winning designer. Not sure about the Oscar. And then we have Brother Farhan Lowy Group, the architect from Bandung who loves Bali and we work in harmony with Bali. And of course we have the sisters, 2 of them here, Kim, who the heart and soul, 20-year hiatus to come back. It was time. And obviously we have the one who connects all the dots, financial, the one who gets it done, Diane, who we'll have a chat with afterwards, the communicator. So Carol, over to you, who's also been building in Bali as well. So I'm sure some of those trickier questions will come soon as well. But Carol, please, over to you.
Okay, first of all, I would love to commend you on your approach, because God knows that this is not the normal approach of the normal property investor on this island. So I have to say that I'm really impressed with the sentiment and the intention and the level of observation and detail that you've put, throughout the spectrum of culture, tradition, but also those rules and nature. So that's absolutely beautiful. I'm going to bring in a controversial question. I used to lecture in responsible tourism, and therefore everything that has to do with the realm of gentrification, of appropriating or even leasing land that is not ours, always rings alarm bell, because the road to hell is paved with good intention. And we are seeing increase tension, especially in the south of Bali, because of projects that are being authorized and shouldn't be authorized, and because of the fact that regardless of us inputting all our heart and good intentions into things, we're still taking land and we're gentrifying. And there are people who used to live on this land and work that land and make money out of that land. So they used to have agency because they produced something out of that land, and they no longer have. So what is your position on that? Because I understand that it's very philosophical, and it is very controversial, and it is of course coming from someone who also has built on this island. I built a limasan recycled from Java, so everything is in wood, and I have a little hut, I would say. But this is a much bigger project, and I love the fact that you were honest at the beginning, where you said this is a development project, and of course it involves money. So what would you answer to this question of what is our responsibility, and what happens to the people that we take away from this land? Because when you have land, you have power. And most importantly, this thing about gentrification, because Balinese are not going to live here. It's going to be for foreigners. Yes.
Okay, so Carol, if you pass the microphone over, and we have a collective answer is fine also.
I appreciate that. thank you, because, and I think that's one of the reasons why I was very passionate about. Thank you. I was very passionate about bringing a project like this in. A is to celebrate the Balinese, period. We all know there's a lot of development that could insinuate you're in another country. And to be honest, that hurts my heart. Balinese are very special people to me. 33 years ago when I came to Bali, there were a very limited amount of people who were fortunate to wear a pair of shoes, let alone have a watch, let alone bathe in clean water. And I feel that the development has allowed these children, I say children because he's half my age, the opportunity to create something like this. We all have expansion in every country we have, but it is also about respecting, as you said, the amount of land we take. We need to take a certain amount of land to create what they have now. We also do need to respect where we take it. The coastline is always tourism. And I appreciate that. That's where their money comes from. This is what have made the Balinese eat in a restaurant now. That never happened before. Now they're sitting in and they're enjoying. I can't tell you how much joy it gives me when I see an Indonesian family laughing in the same restaurant as I do. That did never happen before. In fact, it didn't happen prior to COVID. So COVID was a blessing for these people. Why am I doing this and why am I doing this project? Because hopefully it inspires other people to start looking at what they're building and start making the Balinese proud of the culture and the heritage and the architecture that is what makes Bali what it is. You know, you're sitting in amongst all this timber. You know, it's what Bali is. It's nature. So yes, as much as, you know, it's a very controversial topic, I stay true to my heart that I am giving opportunity to all these families. Farhan's family, you know, this is a project that he was paid well for. You know, it's giving his family opportunity. It's giving all those workers that we have opportunity. The supervisor, the project manager. And I said before, the prize is in the journey because it is all the opportunity that we're giving. It is a two-way street. I can't build this and make opportunity without land. You know, I think, you know, other people would say put it in the air somehow and make it float, like, you know, these drones that are coming, but I can't. And it does belong on the land because the energy is from that land. And this is why we've put so much effort into what we do, so that energy and that poor chicken, that energy and that courage is coming from that space. Yeah, so I hope that answered your question for you.
So I believe there'll be more, but that can be after. But I know that you want to chime in, and probably you do as well. So we're going to give the other sister a chance as well. Yep. One
of our biggest challenges, I hope you don't mind, is that this property is actually on a leasehold. So we actually don't own the land. We're going to just borrow it for a little bit of time, do the goodness, let people enjoy it, and it still belongs to the Balinese.
Yeah, I think really well said, and I'm totally in support and in favour with you, 100%. We have taken on this particular project and decided to create the change in Bali, not just with intention, but belief and understanding that what we stand for is pure contribution, and we don't take no land. And it becomes a blessing and a journey through all the hands, because it's still, and we love the fact that on leasehold, it is still theirs at the end of the day, and it's helping someone. So I feel very passionate. I think the words that were coming out and aligning with you is purely, it's our responsibility. It's the stand. So if you are in this realm, if you're thinking of doing, what are your beliefs? What are your values? What are your standards? And bring that into fruition. It is make the stand, and for us it was contribution, integrity and responsibility. That's what Umlalang is in 3 Crowns.
Thank you. I'm going to swing it over to Tangelina. And then over to you after Madani. Yeah.
I'm so happy for this question, Carol, because it bridges into this this very delicate territory of legacy, right? And I oh God, it's such a prayer that every developer had your mindset. My question for you is, are you open to getting involved in some of the kind of like Balinese government, at least in your local Banjar where you have built, and see how you can be an influence to further development in the future, perhaps be able to bring forth and resurrect the prior housing development standards that this other king had created? Because we will see absolutely the decline of a culture within a 10-year period if something isn't enacted immediately. So, I'm just curious if you're open to that.
Oh, we've got lots of words. I'll take that.
Absolutely, and I'm grateful that you also brought that up as a connection with where we're at. So we have worked extremely closely with the Banjars, intentionally. Again, that was part of the whole thing. When Joanne says rules, it was like, okay, let's really connect and share the story and the gift. And they've really received it exceptionally well. And we'll take, we'll just work with it one step at a time, but allow that flow to happen. But absolutely, yeah.
And Madani, you had a question?
Yes. So one, I just want to applaud the 3 Crown properties. As a third-generation entrepreneur, I just think it's phenomenal that you work together as a family. But I'm kind of newer to Bali. This is my second time here. I curate retreats, and I have fallen in love with Bali. Very easy to do. And so I'm curious about the same. I grew up in a family business that did government contracting. And so from an economic development perspective, I'm curious to know if the Balinese government has policies or laws in place that, like, for these type of developments, is there a certain percentage that you have to make sure that you're employing Balinese? And then that's part one. And then part two is, after the 25-year leasehold, what's next after that? This rings familiar in a different way. We were an 8A government contractor, and that expires after 9 years. And then so you have to figure out, what do you do after 9 years? So 25 years is a little longer, but what does that look like at the end of 25 years? And this is for me just learning, as I want to plant roots here too, and want to go about it the right way. So thank you for this conversation.
Thank you. So while who's going to answer?
Do you want to?
Yeah, because I can see Joe.
That's okay.
All right, so one of the sisters answer.
Yeah, well, look, I think it's a great question, and welcome to Bali. Just beautiful in that regards. Certainly there are, and again, that was part of our intention, was to ensure that we dug deep to understand what the legalities are. And there's always that other end that there's no legalities. There are, and it's about digging deep to understand. So, you can protect and preserve, etc. So we have gone in and above. We didn't just accept. We haven't taken it like it's our own. So there are standards, absolutely. I won't get into each one. What happens after a leasehold? We do have, for example, on this particular project, 30 years, but we have already negotiated an additional 25 initial rights. So there are quite a variety of things, and it does go quite deep. But again, yes, as 3 Crowns, and the way we decided that we chose to operate, it was to dig deep to align ourselves with Balinese, the Balinese culture. Yeah.
And we can only do so much. We can only do what we can and what we believe in. And then if money lures the government to do things that are not part of the rule, then we're not playing that game. We're not playing, that's not our game. And if we can be a part of, different things to assist that from not happening, great. But we are responsible for what we are doing, and we're happy to hear out and put forward that there are legalities. And if you choose to not follow them, and if you choose to, do certain things, then that's on you.
Wonderful question, Carol. I knew you were going to ask that question. That's why I didn't have to. And you know what? Next week is great. I don't even need to be here. It's a talk show between yourselves. I can stay at home with some popcorn, a can of Coke. I don't drink Coke that much, and it'd be great. So now, thank you. Firstly, jokes aside, thank you, because again, one thing which we didn't get a chance to do tonight is an understanding that no matter the size of the audience, we've had 140 people here at the most. 10 at the least, or something like that, but it's always perfectly in sync with what is. So what am I trying to say is that usually what I've noticed is that in the audience, when you have a topic that people come for, to listen for, to learn about, or to comment on, there is a synergy. And what you may find that happens is that not only do the guests have incredible value and hold some of those keys to open the doors that you're looking to open, but it's also in the audience themselves that also have those keys to open doors. So now Christian over here, I haven't given him any warning. Because this is how I roll. We have my brother Eunice, who works for, I think it's the largest, in a minute I'm going to give you this, but the largest real estate firm in the world. Pretty much, but we'll get there in a minute. So I'm gonna get. He'll have a couple of words, and Ferry Global Extreme we won't talk about quite yet. So Christian, so my question to you, mate. Now Christian, I've known for a little while now, is a property analyst. He also now has taken a new role that you're more than welcome to share with people if you like. Name of the company, drop the name, it's fine here. But the question I have for you, because this is in the luxury sector. Now, we had a conversation where it was Bali real estate market and Indonesian perspective. Now, you were part of that panel of 3. Now, one of the things that you also spoke into was this, not right or wrong, bad or good necessarily, but this, you can build a white box and have that as an investment, which I'm now referring to you, my dear. Or you can create something which is in harmony with Bali, which has specific elements which relate to that, and the fact that these particular buildings hold their value far more and give a greater return as opposed to a white box. So my question to Christian, which I've kind of just answered, so I'll ask him a different one, is how do you currently see, Christian, the luxury property market in Bali now and into the future? What would you say? And then I'll bring it back afterwards.
Well, for the property right now, for the Q2 in 2025, actually, we have a quite recover situation for the 2 and 3 bedrooms kind of properties. I'm talking morely to the villas, for luxury villas. It's and I think for the future it will be much more because people come to Bali to live right now. It's not just for short terms. Most of the people do the holidays. They do like Lombok for example for holidays, but not only for Bali for stay and for living. And it's a lot of nation who came here for livings, like Dubai after the what happened in the war with Israel and Iran, and it's a lot of our customers is actually from Dubai right now to actually getting it in Bali. But the problem with those peoples is actually need to be in freehold, but we'll describe it later. But according to your answer for this, I think it will be interesting, and I think you prefer to invest in the luxuries, villas or projects, because luxury will be always easier to actually maintain the value and easier to actually to play around with the margins and give you a lot of more benefits than actually just because people come to Bali for holiday, for stay, or they always want to have a quality life in here. And also for the I don't know about these projects, but how are you going to maintain? Are you going to use a management companies? If you're using your if you have your own management companies and you manage yourself, it's better to have like high quality products as well, or otherwise it will bite you later of the years, because the quality of the buildings is really it's really on you and in your name and your kind of something what you need to take care of. So yeah, I think that's about that. And
so Christian, just before we do it, just allow them to respond. That was a question which I had as well when it comes to the management of it. How are you setting that one up? And we'll come back to you after.
I just want to say thank you, because I also feel like that's just, saying you guys are doing a beautiful project, how are you going to maintain it? And that was one of the biggest things when you're working with the Balinese products, how they wear over time. And when we say it's a luxury build, it is everything considered in this luxury build, from the maintenance, the wear, the buying, the way it's put in. So yes, the properties will be managed, and organically, and not because I'm a control freak, we will be having a management team that does have our standard, 100%.
And just quick, Christian, the second part, then we'll go to Eunice. I'll give you a chance to speak after this. Yep.
Is it going to be managed by the hoteliers or just management? Your management companies?
Our own management company.
Because is it run as a hotel, this one, or?
No.
Because and then what is the zone in for this?
That's a question for Diane.
Yeah. So look, what we're going to do, Cristiano, is that so these questions we'll reserve for afterwards.
Okay. Sure.
Right. So what I want to quickly do now, I'm just trying to get different aspects of this. Welcome. So, Brother Eunice, again, Christian didn't plug who he's working for. That's fine. I gave him the chance. He didn't take it. It's okay. You can open the door, but I don't necessarily open it and walk through. So, okay.
No, I'm working NF. It's ex of Knight Frank, and we work for for luxuries properties and mostly like villas with the high end values and lands, mostly that. Yep.
Thank you. So pass that to Eunice. So Eunice, my question for you, again, 5-10 seconds to plug exactly that, but yeah, you've been here for a while now, 3 years, and again, you're in this industry with this company. So I just like to get your perspective on because again, your Dubai headquarters and so on and so on. So when you hear this sort of conversation when it comes to luxury properties in Bali, what have you found that sweet spot to be at this point?
So first I start with my employer, or let's say partner, because actually we have a model with Fazwaz. Fazwaz is the largest property technology company in the world, because we own all the listings. For example, Lamudi, we bought Lamudi and we acquired them in Jakarta. So we have hundreds of people now working for us with the Fazwaz global group. We started in Thailand 10 years ago. It's a tech company that grew into the biggest broker. So in Thailand, 200 to 300 deals per month signed in real estate. So it's huge with rentals and sales, and people can just upload. Owners can just go and upload their listings. So it's very big. Now we just launched in Bali recently the sales team, and what I see, so I'm positioned in 1 million plus USD, not rupiah, 1 million plus USD, and this is my angle within Fazwaz Bali. So we have different specializations. People who are specialized in Canggu area, Ubud area, Sanur. I'm specialized in 1 million plus. That's my angle. So I sell hotels, I sell ultra luxury villas. That's why I came here, because I saw your SpeakuP Monday. I'm a big fan of your work, Rob. And what I see is that now Thailand is a bit not saturated, but the prices have exploded. So now we have people who came from the sales team from Thailand to Bali to actually elevate the quality, because here it's like there is no floor. The minimum is very low. So we want to put some structure, and Fazwaz is coming with like lots of power muscle, and we want to work with the best, not necessarily the biggest, but the best. And so that's what we're doing. We're working with the largest and the boutique ones who are professional, and we are hustling because we just started now in July, 1st of July, and we are here for long term. And we have many people who invested in Thailand who now want to invest in Bali. So we have repeat customers a lot. So there is a huge opportunity. The Bali market is enormous. The potential for growth is huge. We just need to be careful with the types of project, of course, not to have overdevelopment or build on the cliff, and then it will like all the things that happened recently. We've been watching, I think, all these things.
Eunice, thank you very much. So look, thank you. So thank you for everybody who's contributed so far. We'll bring the microphone back over this way, back to Guzman. Now look, the reason why I wanted to get different perspectives is for a few reasons. Number one, people that come in person, like we have DNI over here, Dharma Ninja Imports, we have Christian NF, we have Ferry, who's Global Extreme, we have Eunice over here, who mentioned Fazwaz and so on, and many others, I'm sure. But I respect people's time. So if you've made the effort to come here, for me, it feels duty bound. I give you an opportunity to share what it is that you do. Because again, this is, for our present company, but it's also for people who are looking here, right? It's about how we create value for people. So now bringing it back here now. So for those just tuning in, so what we're talking about tonight is about how, as a case study, is actually happening now. It's not something that we dream about, talk about, wish about, but it's happening now. It's three wonderful sisters who are working in harmony with Bali to create, with our brother Farhan as well from the Lowy group, to create an extraordinary property experience here in Bali, but working in harmony with those different elements: human to God, human to the environment, and human to human prosperity. So that's what we're talking about tonight, and we've heard from various different experts in the field, those who are building already, who have real life experience, and obviously those who are thinking about and looking too. But just at this point, just interested, I can see Kim with the mic in her hand, and is there anything, we've got a few more questions left, but is there anything else that you've heard people speak now that you'd like to say or you'd like to talk about?
Yes, there is actually, and thank you for everything you've got to say. Thank you so much for contributing. What was really important when we set the brief is that whether it was being bought to live in, whether it was being bought as an investment and rented, it was to get high yields. It needed the quality to get the high yields, but most importantly, they needed to walk in that door and knew that they were in Bali. So whether they're living in there full time or whether they've come 1 night, 2 nights, 5 nights, whatever, they can say, I was in Bali and I love all the elements of Bali, just as I did, 33 years ago. And that's what we have.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And look, just coming now to Farhan, my brother, you've been impatient, and I know that working with 3 wonderful women, you're like me. At home, I'm outnumbered, right? I have my wife, my 2 kids, even the dog is male, but may as well be counting as female. So at home, I know exactly where I stand. So look, Farhan, so just, you've kind of heard now what people have said. And, as you mentioned, the Lowy group, local architect, yourself coming from Bandung, how Bali has inspired you and so on. So is there anything else that comes up, having listened to the different points of view, right? We've heard people, talk about, is this overdevelopment? We've heard people talk about, where we had this maintenance and this love for Bali. We've heard 10 years time, right? That is the line that if we don't start to do something now, we may have a very big challenge facing the Balinese culture. So with all of these things, you as a human being, cool guy, and an architect, is there anything that comes up for you that you'd like to either say or comment or discuss?
First of all, I think I want to talk about the thing that these ladies put in the at the end of the states there, where it goes putting new standards. So I think it's not a general meaning, but for me, my personal definition of that new standard is that most of the I'm not bad mouthing any project out there, but most of the project out there in fact are avoiding the finding plot holes like you were looking for. The plot holes, how to build like as much as they want, how to get profit as much as they can, and something that may not be or may be not profiting the land or the Balinese culture. So for me, the new standard is for the new projects out there, for you guys, for all the people that wants to build. These new standards will hopefully the standards that gives Bali, gives back to Bali, gives the harmony, and takes the standards to a whole new level, like we guys just discussed, something like that.
Thank you, Brother Farhan. And you, Sister Joanne. No, I have 3 more sisters. I'm so happy. I've definitely gained something from tonight's show. 3 more sisters. So now, is there anything, and look, there's one more question after this, but is there anything, having heard of the sentiment, the different contributions to tonight, is there anything left that maybe is in your mind or something that you'd like to discuss or something you'd like to bring up in relation to the project or otherwise? Yeah.
There is a lot, but I think just going on what Farhan said, I think it, quite often some of the buildings or some of the maintenance on Bali projects, we would often say, oh, it's Bali. And actually, no. And it's not about excessive, as we heard earlier. It's about quality. So bringing this new quality will help the Balinese and those who come in, because the culture's there. It doesn't mean we have to accept. And as designers and architects, we have to take that responsibility, not only for the psychology of who's going to be in there and their environments, but the Balinese as a country and how things fall apart and not fall apart. It doesn't have to be that way. Attention to detail is key, and that's why we're building this, because it's attention to detail.
And can I, you were talking about luxury. I don't know if you noticed, but there are so many buildings, developments being done at the moment, that somehow this Western kitchen has appeared in a tropical country that not many people cook in. And so, bless Farhan, First Draft has this Western kitchen, and I absolutely choked.
It was a nice one.
I was like, what are you doing? Like, this is what people escape the Western world for, because as you see in this kitchen, a traditional Balinese kitchen has 1 bench, and it was important to be able to still follow what the Balinese culture was. And so we had the yin and yang, which was Joanne's brilliant idea to bring that into an entertaining hub as opposed to a kitchen. So this is the degree of bringing Bali into that architecture, and it was super important that we have that. This is the luxury, this is the luxury they get to enjoy, is the culture. The luxury is in the culture. It's all those materials which are not in a lot of buildings at the moment. It's all jobs, it's all produce, it's all materials, it's all money being moved in, out. It's not just concrete shells, which is really important.
Love that.
They need to live, these people, at the end of the day.
Thank you. So the last questions we draw us to a close. Now, before we go there, now those who are here in person, now you would have heard, we didn't get the chance before to, people let you know what they do, but through the way that we kind of allowed that microphone to flow, it was like half the show was a microphone out there. I was like, this is great. So you've got a good idea on who you want to connect with, right? And again, just to call them out, we've got Eunice over here, Fazwaz, and again, what they bring. Carol over here, who has this beautiful background, in tourism and design and so on. We have Global Extreme. I keep talking about Ferry's not saying anything, but that's okay. Christian, NF, Vinny, who's an incredible when it comes to drones. He builds drones specifically for specific jobs. Like, that level of detail is crazy, right? Brother Tommy, Sister Tangelina, with the DNI, Dharma Ninja Imports. So this is about how you can help preserve Balinese culture through its artisans. Yeah, if you're an artisan from Bali, you can join the WhatsApp community. If you're someone, might be a hotel, might be a villa owner, again, you have the opportunity to buy art directly from them, which again allows all these other artists to be seen, to be acknowledged, and to be paid. Right? And this is one of the ways to generate under $100 or over $100, right? So as we come through, lady, I just met you and just met you as well, but I'll come back to you later on. And then over here, we have some beautiful Bali enthusiasts who come to every other show. Great to see you. It's been a little while. Thank you for coming. So again, Tropical Nomad is open 24 hours a day. I don't suggest you stay here for 24 hours, but you can if you want. But take the time to connect with people which have come. Don't waste the opportunity, right? And just take a photo, which we're going to do afterwards, and then leave. That's terrible. Stay. I know that some of these people here have got you thinking about something. Now's the time to finish that conversation or to open one. So I really do impress upon you to actually do that. Okay, final question that you might have been waiting for, Joanne, and you, Brother Farhan. So we'll start with you, Farhan, and then we'll finish with Joanne. So again, as kind of what was said before, the Lowy group, which are exclusive to 3 properties, 3 Crowns property exclusive. You're now here in Bali. Is there any, and you're given a bit of time to think about this one, is there anything that you'd like to see happen in Bali? Now, this might be, as you kind of mentioned before, it could be like a protocol, right? Properties made in Bali or built in Bali should follow these particular protocols. It might be that. Or it might be something else that you see in your work as an architect here in Bali. What is it that you'd like to see? Okay? In the future. It could be near future. Yeah? For you, Sister Joanne. So one thing we haven't really spoken about tonight until now is, 3 Crowns property isn't just based here in Bali. It's a beautiful development you're doing in Canggu, but there's also Malta, right, which is another stunning development. But there's another vision on top of that vision. So it'll be really nice to hear you speak a bit into that, to give people here and watching an idea, a feeling of, well, this is where they're heading. All right. So, Farhan, you have about a minute left. So, for those of you watching here, next week's show, as you know, the first Monday of every month is always about health. So, next Monday, we have a beautiful guy. His name is Dr. Patrajaya, and he is the chairman of Bali Medical Tourism Association, right? And again, as you know, Health Hub Bali, I'm a core member of. We've done about 33 shows now talking about the future of health and how Bali can set the trend in the world for integrative medical tourism, which brings in wellness, which brings in health, almost forgot, and medical tourism, west to east. Phenomenal. So make sure that if health is what interests you, that you come next week. I just want to thank Guzman again. A round of applause for our brother Guzman.
Thank you.
Goodness, by himself, all of it. Woo. Want to thank Marina for just showing up late, but you're here. I see you, my darling. thought she would sneak in without me seeing. Now Marina, at this point in time, is doing some wonderful things where she actually goes into villas and creates special events. Right, so she's someone that if you're interested in speaking to Marina, please do. Wonderful lady as well. So I just want to thank you all as well for coming wherever you've come from tonight to be here in person. Thank you very much indeed. Brother Carsten, I see you. Thank you so much. And obviously those who are watching online, thank you very much for being here. See you again. And finally to our guests, Brother Farhan, because you're now a brother, right? Brother Farhan, Sister Joanne. A round of applause. There will be more, but let's go another one now. A round of applause, please. Right? All right. We're the longest wrap up in history. We're approaching episode 500 very soon. It's November the 3rd. So if you want to be involved, and that might be in various ways, make sure you come and see me afterwards. So episode 500 is going to be epic. We're going to have lots of fun. I have no clue what we're going to do, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be good. But we're working out as we go. Work in progress. You know how it is. So over to you, Brother Farhan. So the question, do you remember? Yes.
Yeah, maybe.
Of course. Okay. All right. Let's see.
So my future plan. Well, not my future plan. The future I hope that Bali would take is that maybe from architecture point of view, it would be the master planning. Since most of our projects takes here in the west of Bali sites, like Canggu, Pererenan, or more west, what we concerned was the master planning, like the sidewalk, the pedestrian, and then the planning, like it goes more west and more west without planning, and it ruptures the greens and the fields, and then also this traffic, right?
Yeah.
Whenever I go here for our project, it's just like it's too much, it's taking my days, and when I get back to the office, it's like I'm drained. So I was hoping, like, for the planning, like if we see like Ubud or Seminyak, I think it's not that well planned. It's not perfect, but it's planned. Like we have like sidewalks and everything. We have the parking area where in the Canggu area we don't have that luxury, because I think it's like a more spontaneous thing that's grows. So I hope that we have this kind of luxury to have these plans getting started and be realized soon.
Thank you, brother. Beautiful. Thank you. Now that we've had quite a few members last week, 2 weeks ago, I was with a small round table with the Vice Minister for Investment through the tourism department from Jakarta, and it was a round table of investors and so on having this conversation. And look, not tonight, it will be another show, but we'll bring some of these guys onto the show and they'll explain to you in a little bit more detail, because there actually is a plan, but it's how it's rolled out, how it's enforced, and so on. So, but very valid, brother. Thank you very much for being here. And as I said, I've inherited another brother tonight. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you,
Thank you. Welcome. So, Sister Joanne, over to you.
I think, firstly, I want to say that every design, every great design, every experience is a collaboration. So because somebody else is building in real estate and we're building and it actually, we have an open door. We have an open door, an open showroom. You can come and use it. You can come and use our library. We entertain conversation because we learn from each other, we help each other, and I think that's a really beautiful platform. We're not only helping the Balinese, we also have, I lecture in Melbourne, interior design, so there's a lot of students in Australia that we bring on board to assist with certain things that they can as well. So the future really would be to continue to build in exotic places. Always authentic to where we're building and what that means for the country and the area, and to continue to pay it forward as much as we can, and hopefully we're rewarded for that in one way, shape or form from the man upstairs.
Thank you very much. And look, finally, how do people, if they want to find out more, about Three Crowns Property, how do they find you?
Well, Diane is the person to speak to. We obviously have a website, and once you see the quality of the project, there's a showroom in Batu Belig. And there you can actually feel and touch the quality and the tangible aspects of the two properties that are running at the moment. But Diane is your go-to person, and she'll explain it all. I'll explain all things design, but Diane, and follow us on Instagram as well.
Wonderful. So Instagram, Three Crowns Property.
Yep.
Yeah, as you mentioned, website as well. Great. Everybody, please, a round of applause. Joanne, Farhan, Three Crowns Property, and Lowe Group.